Manifesting your desired reality will be a concept you only hear about on the television, on social media, but not something that you can actually do if you don't understand how the states of consciousness influence your manifestations. And in this video, I'll be covering how is it you can move up on the scale of consciousness to enable you to become an effortless manifester of your own reality. So if you've not already yet subscribed to this channel, please do so at this very moment, because I'm about to drop gems on this particular video. So let's begin. Now, one thing you need to understand is that the world we live in, it is mental, spiritual than it is actually physical. So this means that whatever you see on the physical world, whatever you can see, whatever you can touch, whatever you can taste, whatever you use your five senses to perceive of, is what we call the third dimension, or is what we call the physical world. And all those things are nothing more than manifestations of the higher planes. So the spiritual planes, the mental planes, are what influence what you get to experience, to have, to do, or to obtain on the physical world. So if you are an enlightened creator, what you do is quite simple. You understand that the physical reality is nothing more than an effect, and the higher planes, the mental, the spiritual, are what we call the realm of the cause. So if you wish to change whatever you experience on this third reality of the physical, you don't go about try to change things physically. You don't imply that you have to take physical action to get where you want to be, but rather you first tune into the frequency. You first use the higher planes so that the lower planes can actually work for you. And that is whereby these states of consciousness come in handy. Now, these states of consciousness were actually drafted by Dr. R. Hawkins. Now, Dr. R. Hawkins is a very, very good author, a doctor, as the name suggests. You can read some of his books. A book such as Power vs. Force. We have a book such as Letting Go, amongst many other enlightening books. But in this case, we'll be tackling this chart that he coined, or he came with. And this chart, it has three portions to it. So the first portion, we have emotions, we have what we experience, and we have percentage of the population that experienced them. So let me explain. So these emotions determine what we experience, and then this percentage shows the percentage of people who experience these kinds of states. So these emotions are what represent your state of consciousness. Remember, consciousness is awareness, okay? And awareness of what? Awareness of your thoughts, awareness of your feelings, awareness of internal as well as of the external environments, okay? So these emotions have scales. The highest one is enlightenment, and the lowest emotional state is that of what we call shame, okay? So our main job, or what you want to achieve, is to learn how it is we can move from shame to enlightenment. But most importantly, the question is, why do we actually need to move from shame to enlightenment? And the reason is because if you are in the states of shame, meaning that shame is your predominant emotional state, or what you feel most of the time, or let's say guilt or apathy or grief, these are the lowest scale, okay? So if you feel most of the time any of these emotions, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame, what you experience is nothing more than inaction. This means that in these lower states, you don't have the motivation to act. You believe that, in other words, apathy is whereby you are hopeless. You believe you can't do anything. You believe there is no need of even trying to do anything. You believe that life is completely unfair. Life is hopeless. There is no hope in life. So you feel like you can't do anything. And this is whereby most people experience what we call depression, because they enter into what is called inaction. And the percentage of the population that experiences that is 85% of the population. This means that majority of the people who you meet out there are either experiencing shame, guilt, apathy, grief. We have also fear, desire, anger, and pride. This is what the majority are experiencing. And the reason for this is because there are a lot of factors that influence why most people live off these emotions. Number one thing is what we call the media and the influence the media has on people. So if you look at the news, majority of the time, the news that is being shared in the media are negative news. Are people being killed, are drought, are famine, are hunger. So the news mainly focuses on the negative things about life. And these negative things they come about and influence your frequency, meaning that they put you on lower frequency, whereby you start believing that the world is a place of suffering, the world is a place of hunger, you cannot make it because of what they present unto you, right? So you have to be aware of that. That's why we say the states of consciousness, your states of awareness. What are you aware of? Are you only aware of the bad things that happen in the world, or are you aware of the good things that are actually happening each and every day in the world? The choice is yours. Okay? So a little bit above the feeling of grief, apathy, and guilt, we have people who experience fear, desire, anger, and pride. Now in this state, it's still lower, but it has more energy unto it, because you see, we move from 70 to 100 all the way to 170. Now in this state, the person believes that they have to do a lot of physical work for them to change what they experience. And this is whereby we also have the majority, whereby people believe that if you want to become rich, if you want to become successful, if you want to become anything which you want, you require physical action. And this is one of the biggest illusion, which is called the illusion of physical action. Now, I'm not saying that for you to manifest, you don't have to take any action. What I mean is action is not really needed. What is needed is inspired action. Now, if you work from the point of inspired action, which is an action that comes from your higher self, you will be moving in the direction of your own intention. But if you simply believe that taking action will get you to where you want to go, it won't. And the reason is this. Now, you have to know that your state of consciousness determines what you experience. And this is how it works. Now, we have two people here. Now, one person works very hard, works at a construction site, works as a cleaner. They work very, very hard, right? And then we have a public speaker. We have an engineer, a computer expert. Now, if you look at these two people, one uses a lot of physical activity, a lot of physicality in their work, whereas the other does not do a lot of physical action. But the person who does not do a lot of physical action makes more than the person who does the physical action. The real answer, or the real reason for this, is quite simply put, is that you can do all the hard work that you want, but if you have a frequency, if you have a state of consciousness that is not in alignment with what you want, you won't get it. In other words, you can take all the physical actions that you want, but if you have a frequency of lack, if you have a frequency of negativity, you will tend to attract that negativity. And that is why most people win lotteries, and after a while they end up losing all that money. Why do you think that happens? These people get a lot of money, and then the universe looks at them and says, why do you have so much money, whereas your frequency is that of negativity? And then the universe puts you in balance. Also remember that the universe is a place of balance. So the moment you are out of balance, it will put you into balance. Meaning that if you are on the frequency of negativity, if you are on the frequency of lack, if you are on the frequency of guilt, of apathy, of fear, and the rest, then if you do or achieve anything which is in contrary to these states, the universe will put you back to these states. That should make you that should also make you understand the universal principle of like attracts like. You always attract what you are, not what you want. Okay? So in this state, people believe that taking massive physical action will change their lives, which is an illusion of the third dimensional reality. But we have above these states. Now, above these lower states, now we have the state of courage. Now, in the state of courage, This is whereby now you start to now open your eyes to what reality is all about. Now, in the state of courage, you now believe that you have the will, the capacity. Yeah, you believe that I can make things happen. I have the power to change my circumstances. I am not a victim of my own circumstances. Your internal state of awareness changes completely. Your mental dialogues change completely. Your view of the world changes completely. Why? Because now you are operating from the point of courage, from the point of neutrality, from the point of willingness. You are now willing to take action. You are now willing to learn new ways of looking at your old problems. You are now willing to put yourself out there. And then acceptance, then reason. Now this state is a little bit low of the higher states, but it is very crucial, because at this point now your life starts to change. And what do you experience at these states? You experience happiness and productivity, because at this state now your actions are not just mere actions. They are what we call inspired actions. And this inspired action, they always lead to what we call productivity, and then you achieve your goals. You start seeing your goals being achieved. You start to move with this kind of flow state, and then life now becomes rewarding, right? And the percentage of the population that experience this state are 10%. 10% experience this state, okay? And this is a good place to be, okay? But not the best place to be. Now the best place to be is the higher states. Now the higher states are those of love, joy, peace, enlightenment. Now it's only few people who achieve these kinds of states, and the people who achieve this feat of love, joy, peace, enlightenment, these are people who are most of the time deified or become revered. These are teachers, people like the Christ, people like Buddha and the rest, people who transcended the physical and went into the higher planes. And the moment you achieve this, it is not impossible, it is possible, but only few people who achieve this. Now when you achieve this state, what you experience is nothing more than synchronicity and extraordinary outcomes. This means that at this state you have fully transcended the physical reality, meaning that your manifestations are instant. You experience synchronized events. You might have a thought, and that thought simply manifests at that moment. This means that you are at a very, very high state, also known as the God frequency, whereby you become one with the all. You become one with everything. You have relinquished resistance. You are simply at peace. You are simply at balance. And the moment you are at balance, the universe becomes your friend, because now you are not in conflict. You are no longer in survival mode. You are completely free from the illusion of the third dimensional reality. And the percentage of population that experience this state is less than 5%. That should tell you that it is very few people who achieve this. Now this is what we call the state of consciousness. But now the question is, I have seen the benefits or the importance of these states, but how can I raise my states of consciousness to these favorable states? And that's what I'm about to teach or share with you. Now, to move from shame all the way up to enlightenment, there are some 3 fundamental steps I'm going to share with you. And the number 1 step for you to do is what we call self-awareness and introspection. So what do we mean by self-awareness and introspection? So let's dig about the law of awareness or the principle of awareness. Remember, I just said consciousness is awareness. So this means that you need to be aware of your own thoughts, aware of your own feelings, aware of your own beliefs. And the way to do that is through observing the mind. Now when you observe the mind, because the mind is the architect of reality, when you begin to observe the mind, you will start to learn what you normally think about, because what you think about compounds and becomes what you feel. What you feel will then become an emotion. That emotion is nothing more than energy in motion. That energy in motion stacks up and becomes a vibration. That vibration is a frequency. That frequency is sent out to the universe. then the universe sends back to you whatever you've reflected unto it. That is why self-awareness and introspection is very important. And for you to do that, you need to learn how to journal what you normally think about. You need to journal your beliefs and question these beliefs, because these things are what create your state of consciousness unconsciously. So you need to observe your mind. And to observe your mind, I simply mean to be able to recognize what is happening in your mind. So most of us are detached from whatever is happening. We're always on our minds. So the job is to observe or to recognize what happens in your mind. So when a thought pops up, you need to be very present in the moment to be able to know that a thought has popped up into my mind and I am thinking of something. When you recognize, that is the first step of awareness, and then you're now on the path of understanding your current state of consciousness, which means that you now have the capability of doing what? Moving up the scale. So that is the number one thing to do: self-awareness and introspection. Number two, you need to start practicing what we call meditation and mindfulness. So what is meditation? Meditation is simply the art of quieting the mind and simply focusing single-mindedly on one thing. Meditation and mindfulness are simply two sides of the same coin. Mindfulness is simply paying attention to that activity that you are doing in the present moment. So let's say you are cooking. Your whole mind and attention should be fixated on the cooking. You're watching a movie. Your attention should be fixated on what? On the movie you are watching. And whatever activity you are doing, you should be very focused and paying attention to what you are doing. Meditation is simply quieting the mind and focusing on the present moment. And meditation can be done in many different ways. You can do the 10-minute meditation. You can do the 15-minute meditation. If you want me to make a video about meditation, please comment below. I'll make a video about meditating. So, and the third thing to do is what we call practicing gratitude. Now, gratitude is very, very important and essential, because when you practice gratitude, you are in a mood of joy. You are in a mood of peace. You are expressing your appreciation toward the universe, to what God has given you. And in that kind of mood, you are simply opening up yourself into more of the things that you already have. Because picture this: someone offers you a gift, and then you respond by genuinely appreciating their gesture. You simply say, "Thank you for this gift." The chances are that the next period, this person will be willing to give you the gift because you were appreciative of the first moment. And being in the state of gratitude simply attracts more of the things that you normally have in your life. So what you do when you wake up, find 3 things that you are grateful for that day. Before you go to sleep, find 3 things, journal them. Journal what you are grateful for that day. That also raises your state of consciousness, because gratitude forces you to look on the optimistic side of things. Because if you don't have gratitude, you are a pessimistic person. But if you find 3 things to be grateful for, you will have an optimistic kind of mindset. You're looking forward to the good things that life has to offer. Okay? Now, the other thing to learn about or to move you up the scale is letting go. Now, letting go is relinquishing resistance to what is. Now, most of us try to resist what already is. And this battle makes us to focus on the negative things, or it energizes the thing which we are actually resisting. Think of it this way: you are having an argument with your partner. The more you argue, the more they also argue. The more you attack them, the more they attack you. But let's say you are having an argument, then you realize, oh, we are arguing. Okay, then you allow them to share their own feelings. You allow them to express their own emotions without you being judgmental, without you trying to intervene. When you relinquish, or when you stop resisting to what they're saying, they will come and they will calm down. Okay, so letting go opens you up into new energies. You relinquish resistance. You stop trying to change what already is. You accept. Okay, and when you accept that you are in a certain situation, you are now moving up from that situation. And when you practice those 4 things, number 1, self-awareness and introspection. Number 2, the practice of mindfulness and meditation. Number 3, the practice of gratitude. And number 4, letting go. These 4 things will automatically start raising you up on this scale of consciousness. And if this video has been of help to you, don't forget to like, share, and if you wish to work one-on-one with me, I do online coaching sessions. If you're interested, there is an email account. There is an email on the description. Click on that email or follow that email. Email me the word interested and I will email you back and we can work together. And I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe, stay blessed, and stay awakened.